All right, I have 3 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to Google Classroom Basics. And we are going to be talking about just some basics of Google Classroom, starting with just what it is and how you can use it in our remote learning that we've had to turn to. I want to thank you for being here today. I've been in a couple of these today, and I'm seeing a huge range of just excitement to kind of feeling overwhelmed. I just want to let you know that we are here to support you. And I'm part of the EdTech team, and we want to make this as easy as we can. My name is Nikki Tygeson, and I am the Regional Digital Coach for the Far Northeast. And I have my buddy, Brian Dino, helping me out. He's a fellow coach, and he's going to be helping me out on the back side of everything. He will be answering your questions that come up in chat or on the question and answer document. So we're asking you to keep your microphones muted just for simplicity's sake, but I will stop every now and then and try to take some questions that are coming up. All right, so let me just make sure everybody's hearing me okay, correct? Brian, can you give me a thumbs up?
Yep,
awesome.
I can hear you.
Awesome, okay, thank you. All right, so let's go over, first of all, just how to work Google Meet. I know you've been in these all day, but just in case this is your first one, if you want to change the layout of your screen, you can do that in your, there's a button. Brian, where is this? This is not very clear to me, and I'm not on that screen right now. Is it in these 3 dots? Yes, 3 dots. Okay, so you can change your layout in there. If you need captions, you can turn those on as well. That can be done from down here if you'd like. The mute button, it sounds like everybody's already muted, but if for some reason you don't see a red microphone, you will want to mute the microphone. And then there was one other page here we wanted to look at. The chat is located here. We are going to post a document or continually post documents there, that tiny URL that I gave you originally, so that you can access the question and answer document. The reason we have both is because it's easier for us to field questions and answers in that document that we've given you, and we have your name that way we can follow up with you. Chat is better if you use that maybe if I'm going too fast or if you can't hear me or something like that. So just so you know, you have both of those options for different types of questions. Okay, so we want to talk about what we're going to do today. This is our agenda, and I decided to color code it because it looked like a lot when I just listed it, but it's really not all that much. Everything you see here in green is just going to be basically going over what Google Classroom is, how to access it, and then just a quick overview of what it looks like for teachers and students. I'll be showing you how to start your own class, asking your students to join you, and I'll tell you about some settings that you have there. You'll be able to invite co-teachers if that applies to you, and students and guardians. And then I'll show you how to send a class message and create topics to keep organized. We'll spend most of our time in that blue section down there where we're actually creating assignments for students. I'll show you that from the teacher side and from the student side. And then we'll go back to the teacher side and I'll show you how to grade some work. And then at the end, I will show you how to archive and delete classes. All right, do we have any questions before we get started? All right. So the first thing I want to do is just go over what Google Classroom is. There's been some confusion over Google Meet and Google Classroom and Edpuzzle and all these different terms that are coming up new for some people. Google Classroom is kind of like your digital classroom away from home. It's where you communicate with students. It's where you assign things for them. It's where they complete their work and turn it in. And it's just really nice and organized. And I think if you haven't used it before, you will enjoy using it. To get to it, you go to classroom.google.com. So you can see I've already got it populating there. You want to be in Chrome and you want to be signed in to your dpsk12.net account. Once you get in there, you probably will not see these classes unless you have already used this. It might look blank, and it probably will prompt you to start a new class. To do that, you're going to hit this plus sign up here. So you can see you create or join a class here. As teachers, we are going to create a class. And I will just call this sample class for today. All right, so I could put a section and a subject in a room. That's optional. You don't have to do any of that. So we're just going to hit create. And here is our sample class. I'm going to change the theme on this because it looks very similar to another one I'm going to be looking at. I want to change it up a little bit so the color is pretty different. Let's make this one orange. And you have lots of different themes around here if you'd like to make yours more personal. Okay, so here's our sample class. Now, when you first get in, you'll notice you have some menu items up top. So this is the stream. And this is where anything you communicate with your class shows up. So it can be a message that you send with your class. If you have created an assignment, a little bit of information about that assignment will show here. So when students first get into their Google Classroom, they're going to look at this stream. They're going to see whatever it is you want to communicate with them. You will notice too, once I start adding things to this, that newer things will show up at the top and older things will go down towards the bottom. So we will go over that in just a little bit. Let's move on to the classwork tab. This is where you're actually going to go to assign things for your students. You can also create topics here to keep it very organized, and I'm going to get into that shortly. The People tab is where you're going to be adding your students. So you can see that I'm the only one in this class right now. I'm the teacher. If I wanted to add a co-teacher, I could do that. I just need to hit this little Invite Teachers button. So I could do that, and then I would type in their dpsk12.net email address, and it would send them an invite, and then we could both teach this class together. Excuse me. Okay, students, we don't have any in here yet. You can invite students. I think in our remote situation, the best way to do this is going to be to send them an email to invite them this way. So again, I'm in the People tab, and I'm going to just go down here to invite students. And then it's going to be the same as it was inviting a teacher. We type in their dpsk12.net email address, and then we will invite them. And the question came up earlier, what the format of that is. And I do believe, and Brian, you can correct me, it's their student number at dpsk12.net.
That's correct.
Thank you. Okay, so you'll just go through and invite all your students. That will give them the join code, and they will just click and they will be in your class. Okay, the last thing that we will take a quick look at is grades. There's nothing in here yet, but you'll see soon that when we start to create assignments that are graded, this is going to look very different. So what I'm going to do just really quickly is go into a class that I've already created, and it has some things already in it so we can see what it's going to look like. Let's go back here to my classes. And this is just a sample that I play with a lot. This is not a real class. I just have some fellow coaches in here that I practice with. But here's my stream. I have some announcements in here. They go from newer down to older. My classwork tab here has topics listed along the side to keep it organized, and students will see it like this, organized. This morning, a good point came up. A good way to organize your topics might be by week. So maybe do, or even by day, you know, Monday assignments, week of so-and-so, Tuesday assignments, week of so-and-so, and that could be a good way to keep things organized. Okay, so if you look at people, you'll see I've got my students in here. Now I wanted to show you this because we can invite guardians here. So once you have your students in here populated, you can click Invite Guardians, and you can send an invite to them. And it doesn't really put them in the classroom, but what it does is it sends like a weekly summary to the parents, just letting them know how their student's doing it. It shows what assignments have been assigned. It shows assignments that have been completed and turned in, and it shows missing assignments. So it just kind of keeps your guardians on top of what their students are doing. Okay, and then lastly, I want to show you this grades column. You can see here I had a bunch of sample assignments that I put in here. Not many people turned these in, but that's okay. It was just for play. But those that did, you can see these are waiting for a grade. So I could just grade them from right here if I wanted to. There's a few ways that you could do this. But one thing I need to mention about these grades is this is great on your end. I mean, you can see everybody's grades and what's missing and all that. But these grades will not communicate with IC. So if you do end up using these grades here in Google Classroom, just make sure that you do need to transfer them to IC to be officially on the record. Okay, so I think I will come back and see if we need to answer any questions before I move on. Anything coming up, Brian?
I think we're good.
Okay, very good. We will continue then. Okay, so I'm going to go back to that classroom that I just created. And that was my orange one. All right, so far I don't have any students in here. So what I'm gonna do now is be my own student. I'm gonna go into another browser here. This is a personal browser that I have so I can join this class as a student. So here's another way that students could join. You know, I said earlier that they can get that invite by email, but another way they could join, if you have a way to get them that code, is to go to classroom.google.com, just like you did. And they will do the same thing you did. They'll hit this plus sign, but they will be joining the class. Now I forgot to get the code, so I'm going to head back over to my teacher account. And this is where that class code is. I'm just going to copy this real quick. And then I will head back to my student account and join this. Okay, so now I'm a student in this class. You can see it looks very much like the teacher interface. The only thing that's really different is there's not the grading tool over here. So I have the stream, the classwork, and the people, just like the teacher does. So I'm going to go back to the teacher account just really quickly. I want to show you some things here in the settings. So the settings is good because, well, you can give some details about the class. It's got some other things in here. But I think the main thing that you want to do is decide whether you want your students to be able to post and comment in the account. Certain kids, you know, are great with commenting and everything, but other kids like to goof around. I used to teach middle school, and they did a lot of goofing around on the stream. So I had to make it so that only teachers would be able to post or comment, unless it was a certain scenario where I wanted them to comment. I could turn it back on for certain things, but then, you know, sometimes I'd have to turn it off. So just so you know, that's available in your settings. And then you can set some things for grading, but since this doesn't communicate with IC, I don't know if I'd spend too much time on that. And so there's the settings. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is show you how the stream works. So I'm going to send a message to my students. So, hello students, welcome to my class. Okay, I could send this to any class that I teach. So if I teach multiple classes, I want to have different classrooms set up. And I could send it to, let's just say this is my first period, this is my second period, this is my third period. I could send it to all my classes at the same time if I want to send everybody the same message. Or I could choose just to send this message to certain students. So I only have one student in this class, so I could check or uncheck that student. But just to know that you can, you know, pick and choose who gets what messages. Also, when I go down here to post, I can post it right now, or I can schedule it to be sent later, or I could just save it as a draft. I can also attach things. If I want to attach anything from my drive, I can. I can attach a link or a file or even a YouTube video. For now, I'll just make it just a welcome message, and I will go ahead and post. Okay, so that's what it looks like on my end. We'll go back to the student end here. I'm going to refresh my page. And there's the message from the teacher. So you can see this is a really easy way to communicate with your students and send them, you know, a daily message or a midday check-in or whatever it is you want to do. And then they can also comment back to you if you have it set for them to do that. And then kids too, you know, because we have it set so the kids can post something to the whole class too, as it is right now. All right, questions that I need to address at this point?
Okay, so I have a couple questions for you. And how are you? I'm Cynthia Millette.
Hi, Cynthia. How are you?
Fantastic. Okay, so we can basically go into the different tabs, and we don't have to do the tabs in order. Just go ahead, put all our information, set our class up, basically put our curriculum in, put the student's name in, and then we can invite them directly from here to give them the code.
Yes, you can. So you can have everything in there if you want to, or you can just gradually put it in. That is up to you, however you want to do it. I do recommend that first things first, you organize your class with topics. And so that's what I have on my screen right now. I'm back in the classwork tab, and I've gone to create, and now I'm choosing topic. And so what I would do is somehow organize this, whatever works better for your class. So again, whether it's daily or if it's weekly or if it's by unit or chapter or whatever, make sure you organize it right up front. Otherwise, it just becomes a jumbled mess of assignments that are just kind of all over the place. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Great.
Hi, I have one question as well.
Uh-huh.
So I was playing around with it this week and trying to set up topics and assignments, and you could schedule things, and I did that. But then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to assign. But I don't want my students starting on this yet because I'm still inputting things. How do they change things that are actively available right now to schedule for like April 7th? So I don't.
Yeah, let me go back to my class that actually has some stuff in it right now, and let's take a look at that. So let's go to my classwork, and so here is an assignment called, I don't know, this is an assignment. I'm going to go in here and go to edit, and I'm just seeing actually if I can change this back to a draft. I'm not positive actually if I can, so. Because it's already been assigned. So since it has, let's see, let's find something that hasn't been assigned yet. I'm going to experiment because this is a good question. So I'm going to make a quick assignment, and I'll be doing this much more slowly here in just a minute, but I'm just going to try something. So here's the test. I could save this as a draft right now. So if I don't want to assign it yet, I want to have it for myself to look at. I save that as a draft. It looks like once you actually do go in an assignment, you can't change it back to a draft. But for sure, when you're doing all your planning and setting things up, just save everything as a draft. Does that help?
Yes, thank you. I think I'm going to have to like do a lot of that. One of my second graders supposedly got in, and I was like, I'm not even done.
Oh, goodness.
I know, so I was like, oh no, this is like me practicing. So thank you.
Sure. Yeah. Anybody else?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I'm wondering what's the best way for students to submit work?
We are just going to that right now. What a timely question. So I'm going to go back to my class that I just created, and I will show you what this looks like on the teacher end and the student end. All right. So we've covered the stream. Let's go to classwork, and I'm going to do as I say and create a topic here. I'll call this Monday work, just because that might apply. And I could go in and make a lot of topics, but I'm just going to stop there for now. All right, so under Monday work, I'm going to go ahead and go to create, and I'm going to just choose assignment. Now, there are lots of different ways that you can make assignments. You can do quizzes, ask questions. Today, I'm only covering assignment. If you want to tune in on Friday afternoon, I think it's at 3 o'clock, there is an intermediate Google Classroom, and we'll go into some more things. But right now, we're going to start with just an assignment. And it's going to pop up and ask me to make a title. So I'll call this sample assignment. And I could put instructions here. RUCPION. Okay. And then from here, I can add things from my drive. I could put a link in. I could put a file from my computer, or I could put a YouTube video. I'm just going to put something in from my Google Drive because I prepared a couple of things. So my computer's just a little bit laggy. I'm going to go ahead and choose my drive because I know where I put them in my drive. They're here in this first folder. All right, so here's sample assignment. But that's not the one I wanted. I wanted the other one. Let's go back. Google Drive. I should have named them differently. Here's the one I wanted. Okay, so sample assignment 1. Once I put that in for the kids, then I have some options here. I can choose to have them just be able to view that file, or I can make it so that they can edit the file. And that means every student in my class can edit that very same document. So in some cases that may be great. In other cases, it could be a huge mess. So don't select this unless you know that's what you want to do. In this case, I'm going to make a copy for each student. And so it's really nice. It generates a copy, and I'll show you what that looks like. Now over here, if I want to give this same assignment to multiple classes, I have the option to do that. I could give it to second period and third period if I want to, or I can just give it to this one class. I can also choose which students get this assignment. So this is really great differentiation. If you have certain assignments for certain kids, this is the way to do it. You can select the kids that get the assignment. For points, you just put whatever point value you want in there. You can make it ungraded. I'm going to give it a due date. I could even give it a time if I wanted to. Now here's where it counts. You need to definitely put this in a topic because it looks a lot better on the student side if you do. So I'm going to put this in that Monday work topic that I just created. And then these things below would be things that we'll cover on Friday. I'm not going to talk about rubrics quite yet. Okay, so this one's ready to go. Again, I could just save this as a draft if I'm not ready for students to see it. I could schedule it for a later date if I want to, or I could assign it. So let's go ahead and assign this. And there, it is assigned. So now let's head back over to the student side and see what they're going to see. I might still need to refresh this page. Yes, it looks like I do. All right, so now you can see I've got a topic, Monday work, so that looks good. In Monday work, I do have a sample assignment. I'm going to click on it. It was posted at 3:20. I have a document here I need to go into. If I want to see more details about this assignment, I can just view it here. Whatever instructions I had given, they would see. But here's the document. So you can see it created the document. It even has my name in it. It has my name and the title of the assignment. So when I click on it, now it's ready for me to do the assignment. So this is named. This is great for you as the teacher. You can see whose document it is. You can see what assignment it is. So as a student, I can read these instructions and I can do the assignment. This is my answer. All right. And then I have this convenient little turn in button up here. So I'm just going to click turn in. And it's going to make sure I'm ready to turn this in. I'll say, yes, I'm ready to turn it in. Okay, so once the student does that, then the teacher has control of the document. The student can no longer do anything to the document. So it is what it is. They can't make changes. Google Classroom does give an out for that. You can unsubmit it if you want to and make some changes and then resubmit it. So that is available, but students must know that once they hit that turn in button and then they go to try to edit something, they can't do it unless they unsubmit it first. So this is all the student needs to do. I'm going to go back to teacher side now. All right, so as a teacher, there's several ways that I can look at this to see the grade, but I'm going to head over to the grades tab so you can see what that looks like now. So you can see the assignment generated a column. I only have one student in here, so here's my student that's turned it in. Let's take a look at this assignment. Okay, so my one student has turned it in. If I had other students, it would show that they had not turned it in. You can see kind of across the top what's going on with that. When I want to grade this, I can click on the document. And I can read the response. There are some things you can do with canned comments. Again, that will come on Friday. They're quite nice. So if you have to grade a lot of essays and have to type a lot of comments in, it's a beautiful thing. So come back on Friday. For now, I'm just going to go ahead and give this a 20. And if I wanted to put a comment in, I could send that to my student. And then here is an important thing to remember. The return button sends the work back to them as if you're handing their paper back to them. They won't see their grade. They won't know it's graded until you hit that return button. And once you do that, they'll be able to see that it's graded. Now, sometimes that's confusing for kids. They don't know why something's been returned. They're thinking, gosh, I got this back. Maybe I should give it back to the teacher. Just let them know when you return something, it's theirs again and they have their grade and you're done with it. Okay, questions now. I just covered a lot.
Okay, so there won't be any comments on the paper at all, just comments on the side.
You can, yes, I'm glad you asked. So yes, you could go in and leave comments on the paper. It's just like any other Google Doc. You could go in and leave a comment here like this, but Google Classroom makes it so that you can have, it's called a comment bank. So if you're typing the same things over and over and over again, you can save these things to the comment bank and then just click real quick and then it's a really quick comment. So again, I won't cover that today just for lack of time, but we will talk about that on Friday if you come back.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Once you send this, return it back to the student, can they edit it, make changes, and return it back to you?
Yes, they can. Let's go back to the student side and see what it looks like on their end. So they can see here that they got a 20 out of 20. But let's just say that they got, a 10 out of 20 and they'd like to fix it. They can fix it and then hit this resubmit button. So yes, that's an option.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else?
Yes, I have another question about if you're not using Google Docs, if you have Microsoft Word, or I suppose a PDF would not be good.
Well, PDFs are great for viewing. Word documents, you can definitely send a student a Word document in Google Classroom, but they will have to download it first and then open it up, and they have to have Word to even be able to see it. And I will say now that we are going to be doing away with Microsoft Office in general. Last I heard was December. So this is the time to get used to using Google. And there is, well, actually, there's probably a few webinars out there that we're doing this week where we will show you how to convert any Word documents or PowerPoints into Google-based documents. It's quite simple. And so you can do that and just get used to using Google. But to answer your question, yes, you can attach those things, but Google documents are much easier.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions?
Hi, I have a quick question. Can we see the ongoing document, just like in Schoology? Can you just see what students are doing even before they submit the document itself?
Yes. So if a student, actually, let me see if I can demonstrate that. Yes, once a student clicks on a document and they start working, you can see their work, but you will not have control over it until they turn it in. So I'm going to do another quick assignment here. Oops, I didn't want to go there. I want to go here. I'm going to go back to classwork, and I'm going to do a second assignment just really quick. All right, so this assignment will be sample 2. I won't put instructions this time. I'm going to go get it from my Google Drive again. And this one will be here. All right, so sample assignment 2. I'll again make a copy for each student. I will give this one 20 points and be sure to put it in my Monday work topic. Okay, so let me assign it. And then I'm going to go in and start working on it as the student, and then I'll go back and look at it as a teacher. This is taking just a little time. It usually doesn't take that long, I don't think. Okay, so let's refresh our page. Go back to classwork. Here's sample assignment 2. Oops. All right, so here's my document. I will type something really big and red. Let me make my font big so I can see it. Okay, so I've started it, but not turned it in yet. I'm going back to teacher. Okay, so I can see that it's assigned, but not turned in yet. Okay, so I can see the progress so far, but the student still has full control of the document. I could put comments in here if I wanted to, but the student can still work on it for sure. Did that answer the question?
Yeah, thank you.
Great. Anybody else?
Do you perhaps want to talk about how quizzes would work?
Well,
is it obvious? Is it intuitive?
Well, it's actually, yes, it's obvious, it's intuitive, but it is kind of a lot. And I have saved that for the Friday workshop as well, because there are so many different things you can do with quizzes, whether they're multiple choice or whether they're short answer, and how the grading happens with those. So I would say, let's hold off on that until Friday, but that's going to be one of the main things I talk about on Friday.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for asking.
Okay.
No, sorry. I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
Well, how did you say you could put a link in like to YouTube?
Oh, good question. All right, so let's go back to my classroom here. Oops, I always hit that wrong button. Okay, so if I wanted to put it in as part of an assignment, it's funny that you said that, because I actually had video that went to that last assignment and I forgot to put it in. So I'll just say sample assignment 3. And this time I'm going to add a video. So the video I was going to put in here was about the Civil War. I'm going to copy this URL and I'm going to go here to add and choose YouTube. And because I have the URL, I could search for videos here, so you could just search them up. But since I have the URL to that one already, I'm just going to paste it. That's the one I wanted, and I can add it here. So then when students, well, actually, let me just show you what it looks like. I'll assign it. Okay, back to my student page. I'm going to get out of my, so when a classroom assignment generates a document, it'll go into its own tab. So students will just need to close that tab to get back in. But I'm going to head back to the classroom or here is a perfect example of not putting an assignment into a topic. So I've got my wonderful Monday work with sample assignment 1 and sample assignment 2, but sample assignment 3 is just kind of hanging out up here by itself. I should have put that in the Monday work topic. So now you can see how nice it is to keep things organized and use your topics. But anyway, going into sample assignment 3, you can see that they have access to this video now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
So can you just drop that URL if you forgot the assignment to put into the Monday work? Can you just move it around, or do you have to, or to organize it? Yeah.
Well, let's see yes, I can certainly do that. So let me go here to, actually what I'm going to do is modify an assignment that I already have. So I'm just going to go in here to this. The 3 dots right here are how you can edit things. So I'm going to go here and edit this. And I could go ahead and add this back in. If I forgot to do it, I can always go in and do it later. If it really is just a video that you want them to watch that's not tied to any kind of assignment or anything, let me go ahead and save this. You could just put the video in the stream. You know, if it's just something that they need to have to see, you could say, watch this video and go to add and put it in here if you want to. So there's multiple ways you can show videos to students. It does not always have to be tied to some kind of classwork. Okay, other questions?
Hi, I have a question. I was playing around. I created a class for myself, and I noticed that when I went to go assign an assignment or a task for kids, I had the option of it was a Google Doc, and I could assign it so that each kid will get their own copy.
Yes.
So is that something that saves, does Google Classroom create a folder for them in their drive?
Yes. So what it will do is it generates their own copy of that document. And then the document, so everything in Google Classroom, it's so nice. It generates folders for everything you do in your drive. And so I could go to this class drive folder from right here and just show it to you. So let me just show you what this one has done so far. So I'm actually going into my drive right now. So I'm in my drive. Google Classroom created a folder for me called Classroom. And this particular class is called Sample Class. So within that now, I have Sample 2 and Sample Assignment. And any work that students do is going to be in this folder. So there's the assignment that I did as a student. And so that was just automatically generated. You don't have to make your own folders or anything.
Great. Thanks.
Anybody else?
I have another question. So I noticed that in grades thing in Google Classroom, there are several missing columns, right? Missing things, missing work.
In mine, yes. So let me go back to that one you were talking about. And that's just because I play with it.
In the other class.
Is it in this one that I had already made earlier?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So I was just wondering, will the Google Classroom itself put the missing, or do we have to manually put missing, or can we change it actually? Because, I was just wondering.
Well, it will generate the missing on its own. So when you put a due date for an assignment in there and a student hasn't turned it in by that due date, then it will be marked missing. So it's just a flag for you that it's missing. It'll also tell students that it's missing. It will also be generated on one of the Guardian reports that goes home.
So can we change it manually? Like, can we just change the missing, return in on hand, like, if they do it on paper or something, like,
Oh, okay. Well, if that's the case, you could change the grade. So here's one that's missing, I think. I mean, you can actually just put something in. So this one is showing missing right now. Then yes, I can manually override that.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Other questions?
Yes, I've been playing with the Google Classroom and I've created assignments like they were watching a brain pop and playing the games, and then I wanted them to make a comment. Do I have to add something in there for them to make a comment?
No, that should be in there, but it needs to be enabled. Do you want them to be able to comment to the whole class or just back to you?
I don't really know right now.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go into the settings just real quick. I'm going to go back to just my main page. And in the settings, we need to say, oops, I think I just passed it, general. Okay, so in the stream, we can allow students to post and comment if we have it set like this. Here they can only comment, and then here only teachers can post and comment. So if you want them to comment in the stream, that's fine. You just have to set it the way you want it to. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and set my new class. Let me go back to my new class real quick. I want to do something so I can show you what it looks like on the student side. All right, so let's make it so that we are not allowing students to comment on the stream. Only teachers can comment on the stream. And then this is something else. This is not about commenting. I'm not going to talk about this right now. I don't want to get too confusing, but if you're wondering about that, you can ask me afterwards. Okay, I'm going to go back to the student. And now that my settings have changed, I'm going to refresh my page. And let's just say in this assignment, I needed to do something and then post a comment. So I can do a comment here. I can add a private comment here. So you would get that as the teacher if the student commented on this. Let me go back to the stream though real quick. I think I'm not going to be able to do any kind of commenting now. Yeah, I don't have an option to make a comment at all. So if you want students to be able to comment to anyone but just yourself, then you will need to set it so that they're allowed to do that in the settings. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you. That answered my question.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah, just make sure it's in the settings, however you want it.
And it sounds like that's a global setting. You can't change that per assignment, like have one assignment where people can comment and another assignment where they can't?
As far as I know, that is going to be just a global setting. But Brian, can you comment if it's otherwise?
I think it's just a global setting.
Okay, that makes sense.
What about a student who is making inappropriate comments, Nikki? Can I do anything about
You can mute that student. Yes, you can. Let me go into people. Wait, I'm getting confused now. I'm starting to wonder which class I'm in. Am I in the teacher account? Yes, I'm in the teacher account. Okay, so if I go to, I think it's in people, isn't it, Brian?
Yeah.
If I click this, yeah, so if I check it and go to actions, I can mute that student. So that particular student has no more rights to comment if they abuse their privileges. Hopefully you could give it back to them, at some point, because it is good to have students be able to talk to each other, especially in these times. We're feeling kind of alone these days. All right, other questions? Oh, what's this in the chat? Let's see. You can Okay. So you can allow students to comment in one and not another. Okay, Brittany, do you want to get on and tell us what you just saw? Because yeah, I'm not aware of that. Brittany, are you on here? Can you hear me? You're welcome to get on and talk if you'd like. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to go in.
Brittany, I didn't realize my audio was
microphone.
muted.
Yeah.
It looks like you go about it the same way you just showed earlier. I have 3 different classes on Google Classroom, and I just went to settings for each of the different ones, and it looks like it will allow you to customize which ones you want students to be able to comment on and which ones you do not.
Okay, so that is in each assignment, like within.
No, oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were talking about different classes.
Oh, okay. No,
My
yeah.
apologies.
So no, that's quite all right. So we were wondering earlier if you could do it per assignment, and we were thinking you couldn't. But if anybody finds out otherwise, please let us know. Okay, do we have any other questions?
Oh, I was wondering if, how can we create our layout as a teacher? Do we have how do I bring that? I tried to do it before when you explained it. How can I do different layouts? I went in and I tried to change the layout. I wasn't sure how to do it. It says change the layout. How do I do that?
Well, you're pretty set with the layout you have. You can change the theme of the class on that main page, but it's going to pretty much look like this no matter what. You can change your colors and the picture that they see when they first log in, but that's about it.
Okay.
You can upload your own photo.
Okay. Okay. I was trying to do that, but I don't know how to do it. Okay, let me see. Okay.
Oh, one other thing that I have found that is helpful, and this, when I first started using Google Classroom a long time ago, you couldn't do this, but now you can. You can rearrange the order of things, not on the stream, but in the classwork you can. Sometimes it makes more sense to put one assignment before the other, and now you do have the freedom to move things around. So that's actually nice. And I could move my thing down into Monday work, so that's nice to know. Okay, anybody have any other questions? Okay, there was, oh, go ahead.
Nikki, here's one, and I want to make sure I answered it correctly. A teacher who has numerous homerooms. An option I thought of was they can create a different class for each of the homerooms, or they can then have the classroom divided up by topics for each of the classes.
Yeah, well, I would say, I mean, Google Classroom is based on the students that are in the room. I mean, everything about it is just who's in that room. So I would have a different classroom for every class that has different kids in it. Does that make sense? But, you know, if you're a 3rd grade teacher and you have, you know, language arts and math or whatever throughout the day, don't put those in separate classes. Just if you have separate kids, I would make different Google Classrooms for different kids in the classes. I just saw the question, what time is the webinar on Friday? And it will be, the intermediate one is at 2 o'clock on Friday.
Okay. Does that actually have the word intermediate in the title? Do you know, Nikki?
Oh, I think so. I think so. It's the only intermediate one that I know of. We may do some more on April 6th.
Okay.
But this week, that's the only one, 2 o'clock on Friday.
Okay. Yeah, I think the only question that I had there is just making sure that I got into the right webinar on Friday so that I know like how to continue on from like what we're seeing today.
Yeah, so I'm doing all of the Google Classroom ones. And so every one that I do between now and that 2 o'clock one on Friday is going to be just what you're seeing now. The 2 o'clock one will go into some different things.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Anyone else? Okay, there was one other quick thing I wanted to show you, and that is if you do create multiple Google Classrooms and you want to be able to access all the rest of the ones that you have besides the one you're in, it's just on these 3 lines here next to your class title. You would just click here on classes and it will take you back to that main page with all your classes. And then if you want to archive classes or even delete classes, you can do that. You just hit these little 3 dots here. First, you have to archive. It won't let you delete from here. So we archive this class and it'll just kind of get it out of your way. And then to access archived, we go back to that same menu and down to the bottom. So anything that's been archived will be here. You'll see the lines through it. You can restore it if you want to bring it back, or you can delete it from here. So, and then once again, to get back to main classes, it's those 3 lines back to classes. And that is about all I needed to cover today, I believe. Any other questions before we go? Okay, well, thank you all. I hope to see you in webinars later in the week. Good luck, and please keep EdTech team in the loop. We're here to help.
Good luck, everyone.